Okay, so for my top picks for the night, it was so hard to narrow it down. There were so many beautiful, inspired outfits. I feel like it was just an incredible night of fashion. Seeing all these different people, they were just wonderfully done. I did notice a theme that I didn't particularly care for, so I'll go over that first. There was a handful of outfits that were like tattered and full of holes and like strings and things coming off. And to me, it didn't really feel like it hit either mark of the theme, which was Sleeping Beauties, reawakening fashion, or the Garden of Time. So I guess you could argue that the Garden of Time could be interpreted as like decaying. But to me, these ones just didn't quite fit in as well as some of the other looks. So, for an example, we had Charlie XCX in this Marnie gown. I believe in her interview, she had said that it was created from men's white t shirts from like the 50s and 60s that they created into this dress, which on the surface sounds like a great idea, but then it's just completely tattered and full of holes, and it looks like it just had a very bad spin in the dryer. Um, Another example of that um, is Camilla Cabello in Ludovic de Saint Cernin. The top of the gown, gorgeous, it's beautiful, but the farther down you go, it starts to like fall apart, and it just didn't feel like it was the right place for that kind of look for me. Um, Still not bad. It just probably would have gone a different direction. Probably one of my least favorite things was all of the men in plain suits. Tonight was your night to shine and really go all out with your fashion and style. And there was just so many men that walked out with just a plain black suit. I'm looking at you, James Corden. I'm looking at you, Hugh Jackman. There's so many men that, walked out and just kind of blended into the background because they didn't even have a pop of color. Like, I feel like it has a lot to do with men's fashion in general. I feel like with men's fashion, it used to be very stylized and uh, front and center in the fashion world. Like, fashion was for men. I feel like we started to get into a time where we got into like our classic suit style, which evolved from like the early 1800s, and like every decade or so it would kind of like be updated, reimagined. We had different style of buttons, we had zippers, we had changes that just kind of moved it forward a little bit. And we kind of kept that slow progression of just the men's standard suit all the way up until about the 60s. We had a little bit of a revival in men's fashion. The 70s is very stylistic. And then you get back into the 80s and onwards, and we kind of just go back to that classic men's suit. And I feel like it's just kind of been stuck there for a long time. And so I feel that might be part of it. Like, maybe some of these men were afraid to go more bold. We did have several examples of men who went all out. So kudos to them. They were amazing. At this point, I got to give a shout out to our Bridgerton ladies. We had Simone Ashley and Phoebe Denevor who showed up at the gala, so they looked amazing. And I've got some honorable mentions because, like I said, I just could not narrow this list down. So I'm just going to shout out some names. We'll just pop up their pictures on the screen so you can see them. I'm not going to go into detail about what I loved about them. I'll let you come to your own decision on whether or not you think they looked amazing. Spoiler alert, they all look amazing. So we've got Kieran Culkin, Nellie Korda, Daniel Levy, Tory Burch, Jay Harrison Gee, Boz Lerman, Gustav Magnor Witzo, Cardi B, Mindy Kaling, Pamela Anderson, Isa Gonzalez Rivera, Janelle Monáe, Anouk Yai, Barry Keegan. I think they all looked fantastic. Like, that's not even a comprehensive list. Those are just the ones that I had time to write down. So if I go into my top two looks who I feel kind of really nailed the theme. Um, the first one I'm going to go over is going to be Georgina Chapman in a Marchesa gown. This one is just so stunning. It looks very much to be inspired off of floral design. It looks like she's wearing a giant flower petal all over her body. It looks so delicate and fragile, like if you just had a little gust of wind, she would just disappear into the smoke. I feel like with the theme of the Garden of Time, it was really appropriate because it seems as if it's something that would not last forever. And I feel like the silhouette is also very classic in that style and harkens back to our Sleeping Beauties, reawakening fashion. And also, it kind of has that dreamy feel to it, like kind of like that in between moment from sleep to dream where your eyes are fading. And just everything about this was stunning. I think she looked amazing and did really well in her presentation of her look. If we were to talk a little bit more about the Garden of Time itself, it's actually based from a short story from J.G. Ballard. And so if you just do a quick little summary overview of what the short story is about, it's an elegant couple living in a beautiful villa. They have a garden of crystal time flowers. When each flower is plucked, it deliquesces from a solid to a liquid and then disappears. So that is a very descriptive summary of the Garden of Time. And when you keep that in mind for this being the dress code for the night, and you think back to Sleeping Beauties, so fashion styles that were once popular and are being brought back to the forefront, and then you think of something that's so delicate that once touched, it disappears forever. I have to give it to Elle Fanning in this Balmain and Cartier gown. She looks ethereal. It very much looks like it's made from like crystal or glass, and it just really speaks to that theme of going from a solid to a liquid and then disappearing. She looked absolutely stunning. She looks like she's just a frozen petal in time. And absolutely, if you were to pluck her as a flower, she would just melt and disappear. I think this one really hit the mark of the Garden of Time. So that's my top picks. I'm really excited to see what everyone else thinks.